You've probably heard of the World Trade Organization and may have asked yourself the question, what does it actually do? Most people think it's just about tariffs and trade disputes. But the bulk of the work? It happens every single day in dozens of meetings across committees, councils, and other structures. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and start with the basics. The World Trade Organization, or WTO, is the only global international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations. It operates on a member-driven model. Governments work together to negotiate agreements and monitor how those commitments are applied in practice. Think of it this way. You probably don't think about your phone's operating system until something breaks. You just expect your messages to send and your photos to back up. That seamless experience is only made possible by thousands of processes and protocols running in the background. Global trade works the same way. Behind every cross-border transaction, there are customs protocols, regulatory standards, tariff schedules, all coordinated through a rules-based system. And this system runs on 4 essential pillars. Pillar 1. Negotiating trade rules or writing the code. This is where it all starts. Governments negotiate agreements to open markets and ensure a set of rules for all. That is the source code. From the original General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade in 1948 to the Agreement on Fisheries Subsidies in 2022, these negotiations create the rules that support global trade. And we're looking here at hundreds of thousands of pages of commitments. And just like your phone's operating system, it needs constant updates to stay relevant in a changing world. That's why members continue negotiating new agreements. But here's the thing, negotiating an agreement is just the first step. Which brings us to Pillar 2, implementing and monitoring. This is where the code becomes a functioning system, and where most of the work happens. Once an agreement is signed, members must turn those commitments into reality. That's the work of WTO committees and councils, the fundamental fora for discussion amongst members. Here's what happens in a typical committee meeting. A member raises a trade concern, perhaps a new regulation that appears to affect imports in a trading partner. Members exchange information and work toward solutions. Many issues are resolved right there, without ever becoming formal disputes. Governments also undergo trade policy reviews, where each member's trade policies and practices are examined. It's a chance to ask tough questions and get honest answers from trading partners. When dialogue in committees doesn't resolve a trade concern, there's still a path forward. That's the third pillar, dispute settlement, the system's troubleshooting function for when something breaks down. It provides the opportunity for disputing parties to resolve their differences through further talks or an impartial ruling when member governments cannot agree. But here's what most people miss. Most disputes never reach this process. Why? Because work in the committees or prior consultations often resolve trade concerns before they escalate. Finally, Pillar 4, user training and support. The WTO helps developing economies and least developed countries build their trade capacity, providing technical assistance and support to implement agreements. Because having the same rules only works if everyone has the tools to follow them. It's not always newsworthy, but it's how 166 economies work to keep opportunities accessible for their businesses and citizens every single day. Because global trade doesn't run on autopilot. It runs on thousands upon thousands of hours of behind-the-scenes technical work. That's the WTO you don't see, but it's the WTO that matters the most. Is there a trade term you've always wanted explained in simple terms? Drop your question in the comments. We're here to break it down. Let's make trade clearer, fairer, and easier to understand.